Hello everyone, XV here from youtube.com/xvroguegaming, and this is the 6th video in a weekly series I'm doing for Dota Cinema designed to take your game to the next level. Congratulations to this week's winner, Charity, for posting a topic in the comments for last week's tutorial. Remember that your topic doesn't need to be the one chosen. All you have to do to win is be subscribed to my channel and let me know what you want to learn about. This week's video is about understanding creep aggro, specifically how it works and how we can get around it. Creep and towers use their own system for prioritizing who to attack, so let's look at both. There are 3 basic principles to creep aggro. First, they have an aggro radius of 500, meaning anything outside of this is ignored, regardless of whether or not it's in line of sight. Secondly, they have the attention span of a goldfish, and reset their priorities every 2 seconds. Lastly, creep instinctively attack the closest enemy, but once attacking a target will remain on the same enemy even if a new target moves closer. That said, if their current target moves out of their attack range, they will reprioritize to the closest. This may or may not end up being the same target, and if it is, they will chase. This is more apparent on melee creep who have a limited range, but does apply to all 3. Unlike jungle creep, they are not leashed anywhere. Provided there is an enemy within 500 range of them, they will chase it, i.e. you, forever. The only thing that trumps proximity is targeting a friendly hero. Creeps are very protective and will switch targets to anyone who tries to attack their allies. Note that creeps switch when you right-click, not when you actually attack. This is important to keep in mind because based on where you're standing, you might take what would otherwise be avoidable damage. An extreme example of this is right-clicking an enemy hero in a different lane. Even though you're nowhere near them, the enemy creep near you will still switch. Spells are exempt from this, including auto-cast spells, provided that you manually use them. This is a huge benefit to these types of spells, with their generally low mana cost, and is why heroes who possess them have an easier time harassing. As an aside, when towers get involved, creep behave a little bit differently. Normal creep will switch to attack other creep and heroes if they're in the immediate vicinity, but siege creep prioritize towers and other siege units over heroes and creep. In either case, both will ignore the closest target rule if one of their preferred enemies is within range. Towers function on a similar list of priorities when picking targets, but as a stationary building, they're a bit easier to define. In order of highest priority to lowest, towers attack enemy units targeting friendly heroes, creep and heroes within range, the closest target within range, the target with the lowest hit points if multiple targets are at equal distance, and lastly, siege units. Outside of simply not being within 500 range of enemy creep when attacking a hero, the most important tactic is to run up to your target before launching your initial attack. This is for 2 reasons. You will not take any damage while you move up and into range, and provided you move between each attack, creep will reset their threat. Because of the distance advantage you created, you will not be the closest target, effectively letting you juggle them, and will only maintain threat from ranged creep. If your opponent is smart, however, they will position themselves so that by harassing them, you will always be the closest target. But we can work around this. If multiple units are targeting enemy heroes, creeps will attack the closest. If your ally is moving in to harass, to prevent damage to your teammate, you can always right-click the enemy hero as well. This will get the enemy wave's attention, and provided your ally moves between attacks, this will let them harass without taking any creep damage. You can either tank the creep yourself and contribute attacks on the enemy, or juggle them as mentioned before to prevent either of you from taking any hits. This can be incredibly effective in the early stages of the game to win your lane, as often harass becomes trading hits, and this ensures a favorable exchange. As mentioned before, once they've picked a target, creep will only switch if they have to move to attack. In this case, they attack the closest enemy instead. For melee creep, this is very easy to orchestrate. You just move a little. But for ranged creep and towers, this can be very tedious and would normally require you to run a very long distance. Instead of running, simply attacking a friendly creep, whether they are deniable or not, will prompt the AI to reset their priorities and attack a different target. Just make sure you're not still the closest when you do this, or nothing will happen. We can also use creep aggro to our advantage. When right-clicking an enemy, creep behave in a very predictable fashion and run towards us. The obvious purpose for causing the creep to move forward is to put them in an easier place to last hit, especially if you're being harassed. Its more subtle purpose, though, is to allow you to better control the point of conflict and the creep equilibrium. There are 3 possible ways to move the creep wave. If you want their wave to push, you can use this method to draw their melee creep onto your ranged creep. Once your ranged creep is dead, this greatly reduces your wave's DPS and will cause the conflict to push towards your tower. If you want the wave to stay put, you'll want the creep to be evenly distributed onto one another. If one creep is being focused by several others, whether it's an allied or enemy creep, you can aggro the wave and reset them. Alternatively, if you want to push, you can right-click their enemy repeatedly so that your wave gets continual free hits and takes no damage in return. While there are a few other unique applications for creep aggro and specific heroes, I hope you found this video useful for taking your game to the next level. Remember that it's you who decide the topic, so be sure to post in the comments below what you'd like to see next week and subscribe to my channel to be eligible to win. As always though, if you liked this video, please thumbs up, share, and check out my channel for more in-depth guides and exclusive content and contests. Until next week, this is XV, signing out.